Good morning. It's 9:30, Tuesday, March 15th. Welcome, and if you please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to start with a prayer, please. Heavenly Father, we beseech your divine guidance in this meeting. Keep us ever mindful of our obligation. Grant us, dear Lord, wisdom, tolerance, and courage, that we may well serve our county and fulfill our trust. Amen. And we have minutes.
I will make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes.
Hambley?
Yes. All right. And open for public comment regarding any pending resolutions. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and proceed. Resolutions, we have the County Engineer's Office. Dan Becker. Good morning.
Good morning, happy spring.
Good morning,
Yes,
Dan.
indeed.
No more snow.
Right.
Amen.
I've got one resolution for your consideration today. Resolution for the findings that the public convenience and welfare is required for the replacement of bridge number 17 on Spencer Lake Road. And then we have our weekly commits.
I will make a motion to approve.
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes.
Hambley?
Yes.
Go baseball, it's back.
Go
Yay.
baseball.
Yeah, okay. They're still playing basketball yet.
Yes.
I know.
It's baseball season.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry. I'm wearing Zippy, which is our, obviously for the University of Akron. That's my, I'm an alumni there, and of course, MAC champion. So basketball is still important. Anyway.
Steve, we do have Jeremy.
Oh, okay. Jeremy?
Added late.
Jeremy Zinko, Senator Engineer.
Morning, everyone.
Good morning, Jeremy.
One resolution for consideration today, and that's authorizing the final adjusting change order number 1 for the Medina Road Water Pump Station Relocation Project. That was for the ODOT project on 18, and that is a deduct of $12,877.
I will make a motion to approve.
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion? Roll call,
Always good to
please.
have a deduct instead of an add.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get
Amen.
to say that often.
Right.
Treasurer. Roll call, please.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes.
Hambley?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeremy. Next, Nicole Lee, our Human Resources Assistant. Good morning.
Nicole.
Morning. One resolution for you today. We have 2 new hires, both in maintenance, 1 promotion from sanitary to human resources, 3 rate increases, 1 in sanitary, 1 at transit, and 1 at the office for older adults, 1 leave of absence in sanitary, 1 return from leave in JFS, 2 resignations, 1 in finance and 1 in maintenance.
I will make a motion to approve.
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion?
Just want to wish Drew well. He was really great in our fire department.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he will be missed. Roll call, please.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes.
Hambley?
Yes.
Okay, and then also in your packet,
Mhm.
I have a tentative agreement with the transit union. It was already approved by the drivers, and we would like to put it on resolution for next Tuesday for your approval.
Okay.
Very good.
Very good. Good
Thanks,
news.
Nicole.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right. Next, we have our Assistant County Administrator, Amy Lyon Galvin.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have 9 resolutions for your consideration this morning. The first one is amending the appropriation measure resolution. The second is revenue adjustments for various funds. The third is a cash transfer to the Medina County Soil and Water Conservation District. The fourth is authorizing the Medina County Drug Task Force Agency to accept a forfeited vehicle. The fifth is authorizing funding of the Medina County Veterans Service Commission Capital Improvement Project with coronavirus local fiscal recovery funds under the ARPA Act. This is the $400,000 previously committed to verbally. Got to meet with Ed yesterday. He showed me around the agency where they hope to make the improvements within the office to house an additional counselor, and then the garage and the new board and meeting space.
Good.
The sixth is allowing expenses of the adult probation department. Seventh is allowing expenses of the county engineer. Eighth is allowing expenses of county officials. And the ninth and final resolution is approving claims for the week in the amount of $1,638,366.65.
I will make a motion to approve the 9 resolutions.
Second.
Moved and second, any discussions?
When
Ed,
would-
what's your time frame?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, when will you start? It's
Do you
exciting.
have an architect and you
No,
you don't?
So I'll be meeting with Amy and probably Stephen, and we'll start as soon as we can.
Okay.
So you want to
Good.
make sure you have the money first, basically.
Correct, yeah.
Probably a good step. That's a good
I
step.
will tell you this, I've had a ton of emails since it's been announced, asking questions, so
Super,
I'm sure I'll have a ton more.
great.
Very good.
Great, super. Any other questions?
I do not.
Okay, roll call, please.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes.
Hambley?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Excellent.
Amy.
Thank you so much. All right, next we have departmental updates. Richard Nelson, our chief building official.
Good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Hopefully you have your copies.
I
Mhm.
do.
Mhm.
Because of heavy commercial projects coming in, our upper part of that first page is still very strong, you know, up 129% over last February, the value of construction, that is. And the new homes upticked a little bit, up to a 426,000 average for the month of February. That lower section, the new homes, number of new homes is pretty steady average for this time of year, as it shows throughout the last 5 or 6 years there. On the second page, because of all the activity in commercial, you know, we're quite busy, so our receipts are up quite a bit over last February. And the third page, for the same reasons, our year-to-date receipts are up over last year at this time. And there's, the rest of the pages, of course, is the small stuff. But it's interesting, on the fourth page, there's quite a bit of activity in residential new homes in Liverpool.
Yeah.
It's really up there, and even the village of Lodi has an allotment down there where they're quite busy, which is interesting how that changes over the years or time as a development opens in any given township, and then they have a lot of activity there for a while. But other than that, we are busy. Our review times have slipped. We're out to about 7 days in residential and almost 30 days on commercial.
How are you doing on staffing? Are you fully staffed?
Just okay. Tom's still not back yet from his medical leave, so we're getting by.
So, but your vendor, outside vendor is still keeping up,
Barely.
barely? Okay.
In fact, I'm gonna shop for a different one. The one of them that we have is just not making the grade. And so I'm gonna put out a call to someone else.
Do we have enough work that you could have two
Well,
separate vendors and balance the load?
we do have 2,
Okay.
and it's still a struggle right now. A lot came in February, amazing, a lot of commercial came in. And it'll probably calm down, but even still, our additional examiners just not doing how I want them to do.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's gonna slow down. I
No.
am hearing of several projects in,
Yeah,
in
planning's
Guilford-
got a
in
lot in the
Guilford
pipe.
Township, Westfield Township, Harris Township. I mean, some significant commercial projects, so, and they're not on the list yet.
All right, well, maybe we'll get a third one, but not give the other one the boot.
Well. But I imagine that's happening within the region and state of Ohio with all the commercial activity, so these consultants are probably working else.
Oh, I'm
Some of
sure,
the
I'm
others.
sure.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
not
Right now,
working in
overall,
Medina County, right.
They do.
overall industry is very
Yeah,
busy,
correct, they do.
so I guess, yeah.
But other than that, we're doing okay.
Very good. Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you. Speaking of economic development, Kathy Bryan Hooker.
Good morning, Kathy.
Morning. See, Richard's learning, he stayed. So, actually, today I'm going to speak to you on our grants and the Visitor Bureau. I will tell you that last year we did $263 million in the county for capital investment, which is a great year. It was our second highest only because Westfield did $150 million one year. So, these were all individual projects. We're at 204 today. So, yeah, get ready.
But all of that has not hit.
Most of
the
it
building
hasn't hit
department.
yet.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
it's
Yeah.
coming. I feel like, winter's coming. So, I want to talk to you about our grant programs because we have a number of them. We have mentioned the Pre-Apprenticeship Program in the past. Christina Collins is doing an amazing job getting this worked out, bridging the gap between the Ohio Department of Education and the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services. A feat that really did take a PhD and a seat on the school board. But we're thrilled because we expect to get word this week that we are approved. So the minute that pre-apprenticeship program becomes approved, it's a lot of P's in a sentence. So once that's approved, then we are actually able to offer this to all our schools. We can do it this year if needed, but we know we have about 180 kids that are in this situation for next year. So this will help all of them graduate. This also provides a 12-point credential, which is a graduation thing. I don't even know what they call it. But it allows students to put on their resumes that they have a 12-point credential. A number of our Career Center programs can't offer that. For example, our Vision Care, we are the only program in the state. So there aren't any regulations or help or support or anything for that program, and the Career Center's been working very hard to get it. Now those kids can get a 12-point credential. Also, we've built the program so it's eminently flexible. So if the course is already taught in the school, we can use that program that was used in the school already. So for example, resume writing is often in senior English. We can use that course as part of this program. So the kids don't have to do all 12 modules if they've already passed something. So this is very business angled as opposed to education. So it's working really well. We're very excited about that. We also have attained all the funding for the Career Coach. So we've been talking about the Career Coach now for 4 years. This came out of a discussion with guidance counselors. So when I started meeting with guidance counselors, one of the things they pointed out is there are the kids who don't go to college. We know who those kids are. They know who they are. Everything's good. There are the kids who go to college. We know who they are, and everything's good. But that group in the middle, who in Medina County have a hard time saying, I'm not going to college and I don't know what to do. Those are the kids that get left behind. So we wanted to bring on a career coach to really work with that population. They can work with anybody, and they can supplement. In some of the schools we have career counselors. In some of the schools we have JOG. So we have a variety of programs so we can supplement wherever is necessary. We really want to help those kids who aren't ready to go to college, don't need to go to college yet. Let them get some career experience under their belt, figure out what they want to do, and then college becomes much more meaningful. So it becomes a continuum, and that's really what we're trying to educate everybody, that the whole path to career is a continuum, and college doesn't have to happen immediately after high school, if at all. So the career coach will be able to do that. They will work from our office. They will be able to meet with businesses. They'll go on business visits with us. They'll really understand the careers available in the county. So we're very excited about hiring that person. That posting should go up this week, unless, of course, my website doesn't back up. We've also funded the Work Scholarship Program. So we will be offering 8 scholarships, 1 to each high school, which includes the Career Center, to kids who graduate and get a job. So they get $1,000 to help support those first job expenses. If you think back to your first job, my first job, I had to wear a suit every day. Well, I didn't own 5 suits, so it was a big expense right out of the gate at 22 years old. In this case, we'll be looking at 18-year-olds because they'll be graduating high school. So whatever that expense is, they'll be able to use this money. It will be taxable. So if what they need is stress relief and get a Game Boy, they can do that too. We just want to be able to change that conversation, right? It's important that people can say, my son or daughter got a job and they got a scholarship, and it changes that whole dynamic. Switching gears, as we talk about workforce, the Ways to Work program, which is another one of our grants, We did launch February 1st to get applications. We have 2 individuals who are currently being transported to work, so it's very exciting. We have another 8 in the queue that are working through the process. So we're getting them jobs, making sure they've secured their employment, and then they also are doing their financial empowerment consulting. I had one individual who's completed that process and said he could not believe this was a free service available to him anytime. He was completely blown away. He feels like he is on a good path for really the first time in his life. So we're very excited for all of them that, this really can work. So we're hoping that we're going to have reports of success of people coming off the program fairly quickly.
Kathy, who is it, the business partner that we're working with to provide the vehicles and the transportation?
Ace Taxi.
Ace, okay.
So they partner with Medina County Transit.
Mhm,
So
right.
we found them to be a good vetted partner. And I'm not a fan of non-bonded drivers, so we went with a taxi company. My mother told me don't get into cars with strangers, so. So with that, now we'll go on to the Visitor Bureau. So the Medina County Convention and Visitors Bureau, as you know, we've been able to work very closely with them this year. Lots of good things happening. The Visitor Guide, which is a book that you all have seen and probably been quoted in, that we couldn't get that done this year because obviously we're already 3 months in, and so it takes a while to get it published and all that. So we're doing a 16-page insert that will be in Ohio Magazine. We're going to be doing features on all of our cities. We're going to be doing features on a variety of departments in the county. And then we're going to underwrite that completely from our budget. Because at this point, it's too late to try and get advertising and do something that will only really be out for about 6 months. So we wanted to just take care of that for people. We're also working with Image Builders. So they put out another Medina County magazine. You may have seen that one. This one, nobody really had a goal for it. So we've gotten together with Brian from your office, with the Educational Service Center and the Parks and the Visitor Bureau and MCEDC to talk through what we want from this guide. So what we've decided is this is a resource guide for new residents. With the number of new residents that we have both recently coming in and soon to be coming in, we thought it'd be a great way to highlight all of the great resources that are available in the county. So we're working on that one. We're also working with the auditor's office to amend the bed tax legislation. As we've talked about, there's no enforcement on that one, so I'm hoping to get that back from them this month, be able to get it over to Mr. Lyons in the prosecutor's office, and then get that to you in mid-April. So that's hoping. Speaking of bed tax, so just so that you're aware, we are paid 1 quarter in arrears. So 2020 actually was not a bad year. We did pretty well. 2021 was where we got hit. And so we had about half the revenue in 2021 that we've had traditionally. So that's why we've had to do a lot of budget adjustments and trying to sort through things and figure out what we're doing and what we can do. And it's why we haven't been able to implement many of the new programs that we'd like to get going. When we can, which we hope to very soon, the first one we'll launch is Medina County, and I believe I've talked to all of you about it, but it bears repeating because it sounds like fun. We will be highlighting the various restaurants all around the county because we have such great restaurants and people don't necessarily know. You get in a rut, and you go to your favorite place over and over. So we want to take our elected officials out and have you guys eat and talk about the food, because we all can talk about food, and be able to highlight that. That way we show our residents, hey, here's some places maybe you haven't considered. And people outside the county see, wow, look at the collaboration that happens within Medina County. Because from an economic development standpoint, how do we show people that we really do collaborate? So here's a great way to bring the 2 organizations together and make that happen. We'll also be doing profiles of our chefs because people enjoy learning about chefs and seeing their backgrounds and what's going on. And we do have a diverse group of chefs throughout the county. So we'll be doing those interviews and getting those up on the website. So that's just a teaser for some of the things that are coming. So I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
How much revenue does the bed tax, did it generate in 20 and 21?
About 200,000 total.
In 21?
In 21 was 200,000. 2020, I don't know the number off the top of my head. I think it was about 300. In the past, it's been closer to 450.
You said something about enforcement with the auditor. Is there a collection problem on some of them?
We only know of one hotel that hasn't paid their bed tax. This was not a global go ahead, no pay your bed tax. Because the enforcement is coming. But yeah, so we don't know of a problem, but the auditor was very concerned that we don't have that opportunity.
I think whenever we examined the resolution that created the Convention Visitors Bureau, there was references to subsequent resolutions that would be adopted regarding the administration of it, and those were never adopted. So in effect, the kind of ball got dropped, and over the years it was collected. But what do you do with bad collection? What do you do with hotels out there that are not? And what's the administrative process? So I think those are getting cleaned up, as well as the law has changed in the last 20, 30 years. So I think that we're gonna, it's much needed to update.
The statutes that it was all written under have all been renumbered, so,
Right.
yeah, so everything needs to be updated. Great,
Very good.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Open up public comment? Okay, nothing? Then, and we got no further resolutions. Open up for discussion. You want to start us off?
Good morning.
Go ahead, Scott.
I have a couple things for you today. I met with the courts yesterday. As you know, we've got the court management system that we're implementing over there. It's been a long process. It's been a very complex process. But they are looking at a go-live date August 1st. So there's still some things they need to get worked out. And we also talked a little bit about the domestic relations court. Originally, the domestic relations court was not going to be part of the project. But the feeling is if we're going to bring domestic relations court on, this is the time to do it. So we're hopeful that a judge will be appointed sometime within the next 3 or 4 months, and we will be able to bring them on. So we are looking at that. So we need to contact Munis and talk to them about what the cost would be and et cetera. So I'll be working on that. I did talk to Forrest yesterday. We talked a couple weeks ago about scanning. I started a scanning department, and the place I think that we could place as a department in a records center is the basement of 18th courthouse, because there's no one is going into that space. It's going to be empty space, and it's going to be basically we're going to tear everything that we can out of it, and that's not going to be able to happen until next year. But in talking to Forrest doesn't want his records removed, and in the basement of 60 Public Square, he has all of his records stored, and there's a office in the basement where we could put an employee and all the scanning equipment. So if it's okay with you, I would like to explore that. Forrest would be open to that. Obviously, this employee would have a background check. All of employees have background checks. We'd have to sign an NDA because of the sensitivity of the records being scanned. But I'd like to look at that and start moving forward and hopefully have somebody in place by July, August of this year.
Have you
I'm
thought
good with
about a
that.
salary?
Yep.
Yeah, I think I have. I'm thinking if I can get somebody for between 18 and 20, kind of as the almost as the records manager, and then I probably will need somebody else, and maybe I can bring them at 15 to 17.
Are you going full-time right away?
Yes.
Yeah, we have records not only in the prosecutor's office, but also the sheriff's office and other offices that it's going to be a long-term
Right.
project, just to get those past records scanned and on a system, let alone the continuing need to scan going forward.
So you're right now working on a job description?
Yeah, I'll
well
be getting with Holly, and we'll be working on a job description for basically a records manager's position, and then an assistant.
So who would this individual be reporting under your current plan?
It makes sense to me to have them report to IT, because we're dealing with the different, obviously the electronic records going to servers and being stored electronically. So I'm thinking that they would report to Susan. That way they can assist in getting the equipment, they can assist in getting everything set up, and they can manage the actual.
And the integration.
Yeah.
But in essentially, but obviously working in this case with the prosecutor's office regarding their file organization and the process, and I guess what the ultimate, what's going to happen with the records after they're scanned.
Right.
Yeah.
So I've talked to, actually Rhonda and I have talked about this, and we're in the process of creating forms to track the records that are being scanned, what the position of the records are. And talking to Forrest, the F1s have to be kept indefinitely, but he said there are a lot of records over there that we can destroy. So what we would do with those records, once they're scanned, is we would be able to set those aside, and then we would just have Shred-it or another company come out and just take those boxes and shred those records.
Have you looked at what kind of equipment you'll need?
I have not. That's something that I'll have to get with Susan and talk to Susan about and determine what the best direction or what we need to do this.
But ultimately, the responsibility as to what gets retained and what gets, if you will, destroyed would be the department that we're working with. In this case, it'd be the prosecutor
Yes.
would be signing off.
Yeah, so there would have to be some kind of again, once we have the process in place, we'll have a form, and the
Right.
prosecutor will have to
Okay.
sign off on that form before anything is destroyed. And also, we have to work with the prosecutor to ensure that everything is scanned into the system correctly. With the prosecutor, we're fortunate because he has the matrix system,
Right.
and so everything gets scanned into matrix.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have to really worry about the software, but one of the things that I need Susan to help me with is to select that type of a software package for the county to use as a whole. The sheriff may even have some software that he
The
has.
recorder's office has scanning software too, we should look at.
We can look at that too.
Yeah, cause they scan and then it goes right into the system.
Right, so,
So I think it's important to note, though, that the destruction of the records is the destruction of the physical record.
Correct,
Yes.
It
correct.
will be stored
Correct.
digitally
Yes.
on the
Right.
server
Right,
and
on the
backed
media.
up, so it is not a true
Right.
destruction of the
Right.
records, it's a conversion of the record.
But still, it's a safeguard to make sure that you've got an exact and accurate duplication of that
Correct.
digitally.
right,
Yeah, okay.
right. And I think that with the prosecutor and the number of records that he has in the basement of 60 Public Square, it'll probably take at least a year to get all those records scanned. There's a lot of records over there. So, and that's pretty good timing because the 1841 courthouse will be renovated probably mid 2023. So July, August is the date. So it fits well. And if it takes longer, then it takes longer, and we'll just push it back. So,
Mhm, mhm.
Scott,
yeah.
since you're moving in this direction, I would recommend that you suggest to the departments that they make sure that their RC2s are updated, because some of the records are required to be kept in paper format.
Mhm.
So they'll want to make sure that they get that updated, allowing them to destroy paper once it's been converted
Mhm,
electronically.
converted, yeah.
And, you know, a second disc, however they're gonna download it, is very inexpensive, that maybe we should send to the mountain where we have the vaults for all those other things, for the backup.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, those are the things that I'll work with Susan on as
Right.
far
And
as the
developing this
technology
Right, well, we
goes and-
already,
The
you
plan.
know, have that one vault in Pennsylvania, I think it is.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, the software.
has plenty of room.
So
Okay.
I've got that. Yesterday, I did, a couple months ago, you gave me the ability to lock in a rate for the aggregation program, for the electric aggregation program. So I did that yesterday at 6.05 cents per kilowatt hour. We did get a renewable option for the residents at 6.5 cents per kilowatt hour. It just as comparison, there is another company that that handles aggregation programs. Actually, two companies that handle aggregation programs around the state. They've locked in at 6.3 and 7.5. So the 6.05 is greater than the 4.99 that we have now, but
Mhm.
prices have been increasing. If you look historically, in 2012 to 2016, the residential was at 6.572 average over that period of time, and the small business was at 6.7228. So it's pretty good, and I don't see prices coming down, especially with the current policies and the current administration. I think those prices will continue to increase.
How long would that lock us in?
48 months.
Got it, got
At the courthouse, we actually received some credits. Back.
really?
Yeah,
Wow.
so we went
Little
from
contest between Jeremy and Scott here.
from over 900,000 on our contingency usage to 893, almost 894,000. So it came down a little bit. I did meet with the judges last week, and we looked at the domestic relations court, the design of the 1841 courthouse. They felt that there were some issues in that design, so we looked at it. We took a look, and we did approach the architect to see if we can make some changes to that design. So she's working on that. There's nothing that we can do as far as major design updates, but a simple example is if you look at the third floor of the 1841 courthouse, there are no public bathrooms, so they would have to go out of the domestic relations court, walk down to the public bathrooms at the south end of the building. So there is an area there that we could put bathrooms, so we've asked them to.
I'm surprised that's not a major change.
It's just significant. It's significant. There are also, there's an area, where we're looking to move the clerk of courts, the clerks, move them from the third floor to the second floor. It just makes more sense. So, at least in their minds, it makes more sense, and in my mind, it makes more sense. So, we are looking at that. We also received, typicals for furniture, from several companies, three different companies. Yesterday, RCF, Key, and WB Mason. We'll be sitting down with NV5 tomorrow, to go through those typicals, and then we can start actually negotiating for furniture. I believe all of the finishes, the terrazzo, the carpeting, the paint, that's been selected. I know yesterday I was unable to make the meeting because of the meeting with the judges, but we selected the grout for the stonework.
No, it's not in yet.
Okay.
So it's in the second sample that's not in yet.
Okay, and they started placing the exterior studs? Or the,
No, not yet. They put up 4 exterior studs that house the gas meters coming on the building. So the
Okay.
gas line started getting installed last night, so the gas line is coming across the road now.
okay,
When are they gonna pour the floors?
The floors get poured, they start the second floor tomorrow. The third floor will get poured on Thursday, and I do believe they're gonna try pouring off where the crane was sitting on the ground floor, first floor, Friday. That's the goal.
So once that cures, then, things will really start moving along.
Once they are poured, they can actually start working on the steel studding 2 floors below. So they'll start working on layouts, Friday and then probably Monday.
Super. Good, good.
so we continue to move forward with the courthouse also.
Good.
Okay?
Thanks, Scott.
One item, now you served on the task force evaluating the RFPs for the fiber
Yes.
optic. Do you know when they're going to be announcing the winner?
I do not.
Okay, all
They received one bid,
Right, okay,
so, and that was, the communities.
got it. Okay, well, okay.
So, yeah, so,
You just
so
announced. Okay.
there it is. Yeah, it was, they had a good proposal.
Good.
So.
And involves a partnership with LMRE,
Yes.
obviously. So,
Yeah.
okay, good.
And when does the West get started?
Oh, we asked that question yesterday. It is going to be June, I think.
We're supposed to have a meeting next Tuesday, with LMRE and with the Port Authority on that rollout, I guess, next
Yeah.
week with the details, so, okay.
Okay.
Right.
All right, thank you.
Great,
Thanks, Scott.
thanks. Next, Amy? Anything? All right, Stephen? Okay. Richard, anything more? You always have something, Jeremy, come on.
All right, couple things. Last week we had talked about, the certification. As to whether or not we wanted to do certified delinquent utility bills twice a year or not. So the top sheet is, we ran this report on Friday, Selena at our office did for me. And so the first page, that 497 would be if we certified every cent that was delinquent. And then we did limits on the subsequent pages of 50, 75, 100, and 150, just to kind of show the difference there. And as you can see, there's not a huge drop-off. My recommendation would be, if we're gonna certify twice a year, that maybe we do a $100 limit. If we're gonna certify just once a year and continue with that practice, maybe we go to $25 if we're only gonna do it once. So, just kinda wanted to get some direction on what.
So the $100 limit would, basically cover one billing sequence for water and sewer roughly,
Roughly, yeah.
for the average
Correct,
resident.
correct.
Okay. Yeah, I would suggest that we certify twice a year and use the $100 threshold.
I would too, I think 25 is low.
Yeah.
That would be for, if we were gonna do it once a year,
Right.
that was the 25.
Right.
yeah.
I'm comfortable with that, yeah.
Okay, and then we're also okay with us, as soon as we make the certification, to try and get that information over to the auditors as soon as possible, so we're not given that delay to allow property transfers.
Right.
Okay, all right, well, thank you for that.
Super.
And then the other was the Bailey property over in Sharon Township. I was able to speak with both Bailey's engineer and the city of Wadsworth yesterday. After hearing both sides, I was able to determine that the report that Ms. Bailey acquired from CTI was actually done for Pride One back in, I believe, 2018. Pride One was looking to put a development in on that same property and also annexed to the city. For whatever reason, Pride One decided not to move forward with the project. And then when Bailey purchased the property, she acquired that report, the capacity study that CTI did, and submitted it to the city of Wadsworth. The city of Wadsworth saw that when they originally looked at it, that the housing density was different than what Bailey was presenting, so they asked her to amend the document to change it to reflect the number of homes that she had.
So
put in.
was the Bailey development more dense than?
Less dense.
Less dense, okay.
Yes, yeah, Ryan Homes had more potential homes there. So, after that got kicked back to her, she adjusted, it sounds like she had just adjusted the document, submitted it back. Wadsworth reviewed it again and noticed that there's 2 pump stations that are affected in this area.
Mhm.
You have the Weatherstone pump station and the Great Oaks. The CTI did a drawdown test on the Weatherstone to determine the gallons per minute pumping out of the station. They only estimated the Great Oaks pump station, and I believe it's because the proposed development was only discharging into Weatherstone, not the Great Oaks. So when that got submitted, and I believe that was the one that was submitted more recently in like December, when Wadsworth looked at the document, they saw that the volume that was being discharged out of the Great Oaks was not what was designed for. They had like 320 gallons designed, and they only used 198. At 198, it showed that the sewers were surcharging about 3.5 inches, which means that the wastewater was about 3.5 inches above the pipe in the manhole. And so that was the new numbers. So they kicked that back to her. So her engineer then reflected the 325, put that in, and now the surcharge got up to about 33 inches. So they submitted that to Wadsworth, I believe, on a Friday the 4th. And then Monday the 7th is when you had received that email from Ms. Bailey. I don't know if Wadsworth had enough time to really review the document at that time. So during our conversations with the city, with yesterday, the city seems like they are good with the current report with the new numbers. So there's no another report that needs to be done. I think there was some miscommunication between the city on that. The city was recommending that Ms. Bailey could do some flow monitoring to get actual field data from those lines and add it to the existing report. I think that's what another report meant. So I communicated all that over to the engineer with the city's approval, and so the Bailey's engineer is going to look at. There's I think 7 runs of like 10-inch sanitary sewer. Both in the right-of-way and in an easement, that they are going to size appropriately to eliminate the surcharging and provide the city a engineer's estimate. So I would recommend that the board hold off on any type of FPA amendment decision until Ms. engineer can provide the city the engineering requirements, whether it be like a 15 or 18-inch pipe, and the cost estimate to see what the cost would be on that, to then see if it would be truly a financial burden.
So they're working both parties are working towards good information.
After our conversation, yes,
Okay,
I believe
excellent.
so.
Good.
So,
Good.
the flow monitoring would allow Ms. Bailey she'll get better data from that instead of using theoretical data. She would get actual data, and she might, based on the theoretical, it might be an 18-inch sewer, but if she flow monitored, it might be able to reduce it down to a 15 or 12, I don't know, but, so they gave her the option, she doesn't have to, but the city did say that that was an option.
Okay.
Is it looking like all of this will be cost prohibitive in the end?
I think you pulled the footage on that, yes? 2,000 feet, I know some of it was under a street, it looked like, which if that's the case, you have road improvements there. I'd say about a third of it was under pavement, but the other 2/3 it looked like was in an easement through farm field, which wouldn't be as bad. There would be some bypass pumping, just a ballpark number, you're probably close to the 500,000 to 600,000 range, just as a ballpark. So, now, the city did have, they said that they could do some legislation that would, similar to how we do a restricted main, if a developer puts a line in and customers connect off that, we can then, forward the,
Surcharge them back, yeah.
give
Right.
the connection fees back to the developer for putting in the city has some sort of like a similar policy that they would be able to do for her. What that recoupment amount would be, I don't know at this time.
So Germany, was Nowaka, Eric Aiken involved in this meeting?
No, but I did call him and brought
Okay.
him up to speed, and he was very thankful for talking on this, and not a problem, so.
Okay.
So until all the engineering data and financial estimates
Yeah.
come forward, at this point, you're not recommending any kind of
No.
further discussion or looking at changing facility planning area boundaries?
No, I would say and even if we go through a NOACA FPA
You have to have
modification,
all that.
we're gonna need that information
Right.
anyway, so it would be
Right.
best to just wait and to have that provided.
Okay.
Is that a really long process?
It shouldn't take too long, I wouldn't think.
You're talking about the FPA?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that,
Oh, that
yes.
could take.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I
Political
thought
one,
that was
Yeah.
really a
And I
long
will say this,
process.
the city has already mentioned that they are not interested in any type of FPA amendment, so that would be
Mhm.
leaving it up to 3 boards at NOACA to determine whether or not this would get approved or not.
Well, it took you years to do the last one.
I'm hoping the information is positive
Yes.
from the test.
Yes,
All right.
okay.
Okay.
Thanks,
sounds good.
Jeremy.
Hey, no problem.
Excellent, thanks, Jeremy. All right. Anything else? Kathy, Ed? Christina? Okay, all right. Items for discussion, we have our own. Bill?
Yeah, there has been discussion about a training facility for EMA, the sheriff's office, kind of a joint countywide facility, I guess. And my suggestion would be that we have some conversations with the University of Akron about the University Center. You know, my understanding is that it is not as well utilized as it had been in the past. And when they designed that facility, they actually designed a large area, room, what have you, for specifically for EMA, firefighting, those types of trainings. And you know, before we invest hundreds, if not $1 million or whatever, into a training facility, I think we should have some serious conversation with University of Akron about utilizing that facility.
And it's a beautiful facility.
It is, and it's less than 2 miles away from where we were thinking. So, at any rate, if the board is amenable, I will reach out to the person at the University of Akron
Sure.
and just start a dialogue with them
It's a
and
great idea.
see what we can do.
We did speak to, before Denise, when Denise was there, we did sit down with her and then, to talk about what, collaboration could look like.
Mm-hmm.
And she needed to go back to the university direct, and then I think COVID hit, and then she transitioned to.
Here,
event
right.
planning. Yeah, so those were conversations that we started with
Yeah.
Denise when she was there.
Yeah, and, you know, again, from what I have heard anecdotally, enrollment is off and things
Right.
have changed even
Since
since
COVID,
Denise was
right.
there.
And it's
So-
not just the building, the whole property has plenty of room for exercises that you would do and things like that.
I know Bethany Dentler and Economic Development Corporation have had some conversations with the dean, I guess, that oversees that and the Orville campus
Mhm.
as to the future and some discussions regarding that. So I would agree, looking at that existing facility, recognizing that the county has made, our county commission is well as our corporation have made significant investment in that property
Yeah.
for training purposes, for education purposes.
Mm-hmm.
And just maybe with the right partnerships, now's the time to.
Does
bring
anybody
it
know how
forward.
many square feet it is?
The whole facility, 60, the whole thing is like 60,000 square feet,
Oh,
that sound
okay,
right?
it's a
Somewhere in
lot.
that vicinity. And I'm not even suggesting that we would take the whole
Right.
building, but, you know, I mean, if we struck a deal with them where we gave them X number of dollars a year for, you know, a rental space or lease space, to utilize it when we needed to utilize it,
I think
it
it's
would,
90.
it would probably help them out and save us a lot of money.
Well, I think we need to have a clear indication from them what they believe their future is
Right.
in that facility. If they've changed their, if you will, what their intents of the programming, and no longer going to be for higher ed purposes, there are provisions in that agreement that we negotiated with the University of Akron, calling for a county role
Right.
in
Right.
use of that
Yeah, because the
property.
county contributed significantly to
Uh,
it. And
yes,
you were a commissioner, and I was on the
Yes,
task force
yes,
when that happened in
Exactly right.
2002
Yeah, thereabouts. And then
Been a
or?
while.
in that agreement,
It's been a long time.
there actually is a clause that the University of Akron, if they decide they no longer use it for educational purposes, the county does have, if you will, the first option of acquiring that
Mhm.
minus the local contribution,
Right.
which is the value of the property plus Westfield contributed, as well as the business community, contributed millions.
Yeah.
And so that, like I said, the county has a significant role here. At the time when we were negotiating with them, University of Akron Board of Trustees were selling properties over in Bath Township. You may remember the estates that they were. And so what we had taken from that lesson is you can't trust a Board of Trustees of a state college as to what they're going to do when they've got property, when they no longer have it for educational purposes. So we were not going to turn over the land unless we were guaranteed that the county would have something to say
Take
with
it
the
back
future
to
of
it.
that.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know that the University of Akron doesn't have a
Correct,
plan for
exactly
the
right.
future.
Yep.
I just think we should explore what that is, and if there is
Agreed.
a way to partner with the University of Akron to look at that, what it would
Sure.
look like.
They already have some rooms that are really nice training rooms.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
Yes, it's a nice facility.
And as I understand, Sheriff Grayson, you were working with State Representative Sharon Ray, prepare a proposal for the, if you will, the state capital grants, to kind of, if you will, set aside enough money that could be used for either buying new or upgrading such a facility.
Right.
So, sounds good.
So, okay,
All
I
right.
will initiate contact with them
Sounds
and
good.
just see what we can do.
Super. Super.
That's all I have.
All right.
I'm ready to talk
Okay,
about your
well,
two
House Bill,
topics.
House Bill 327. For those of you, County Commissioners Association of Ohio brought forward, there's a bill that has been placed in the legislature. Looks like it's going to be moving forward. 327 involves essentially what's called concepts, a device of prohibited concepts. Essentially was aimed at, the complaints were critical race theory and education and so forth. There's a provision in there, though, that applies to actually all political subdivisions in actually prohibiting these concepts, either the promoting them or what they call inculcating, which means to say with authority these various concepts. And unfortunately, there's provisions in there that it regards that requiring the county, the local subdivisions to not only move forward with the state once this policy would be approved, that we would have to all employees would be educated about it. We'd have to review compliance with the policy annually. We have to annually submit a report about our compliance with these, making sure that these concepts are not promoted. Likewise, that any entities we contract with, we would also have to monitor all their communications. And that's somewhat of a very, I'll just say, in view of the Board of Trustees, we're having a meeting Friday, take an opposition to this, I think, a very dangerous precedent for involvement.
Mhm.
I think this is something that we need to, kind of come forward with, and state our position on it. Sorry about that. And that any kind of county employee training program, and as well as monitoring our not only the languages and the communications of our employees, but also our people that we contract with is just overwhelming consequence here, and I think just it intrudes into the operation of local government.
Has this already gone through committee?
No, the reason it's coming forward is because they were given notice that it was likely coming out of the House State and Local Government Committee as amended. This is like version 12, I think it is. That is various versions of it. Potentially next week. So they're not meeting this week, but they're meeting next week. So the idea was to bring this forward to various boards of commissioners. Input is likewise the CCA board trustees were meeting Friday will be taking an adverse position to this and recommending that at the very least removing that provision that involved local political subdivisions, but likewise also our opposition to the overall bill.
You know, Bill Batchelor used to say that the residents of the state of Ohio were safest when the legislature was not in session. And
Yeah.
I think this is a perfect example of that. This is so far-reaching and places such a burden on boards of county commissioners that it's unbelievable. You know, these decisions, particularly in the schools, in my opinion, should be left up to the school board and the parents as to what is taught or is not taught. And to put the commissioners in a police position where we are required to monitor and regulate what entities do, I think is just uncalled for.
But this also, just like your point,
Sure.
the individual school systems should make their decisions. So
Correct.
this is deciding for all school systems.
Right, well, yeah, because a lot of it, the substance of the bill deals with with curriculum as well as the material presented. And I agree with you, Bill. Obviously, those decisions are between the parents, the school system, the teachers, and the school board, not the state legislature. Mindful 100 years ago, actually, there was court cases because of the bills that had passed a year or two prior that banned German in the schools, the teaching of German and German culture. Because it was un-American, because it was dangerous to our culture. Seems like 100 years we're fighting these divisive concepts again.
Right.
Eventually the courts prevailed and people got a little bit better sense. In this case, you're right. I think I think we ought to take an adverse position.
I agree.
Opposed to it, as well as support the Board of Trustees. And I'll voice that concern on Friday. So. Okay. And stable account. I had passed that, got a communication from the Secretary of State, Ohio Treasurer, Bob Sprague or Robert Sprague, regarding a program that they oversee. It's called the stable accounts. Hopefully you saw through that. Allows payroll deduction. It's no cost obviously to the county. Provides employees with a disability and those that have children with disability or those that they have to support the opportunity to save and invest and with some tax-free consequences. So I just wanted to know what your interest was there.
Does this mesh with the program that you were going to it doesn't mesh with it at all? Okay.
Well, but it doesn't conflict with it either. Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
this is just,
Right.
we would just be authorizing the ability to payroll deduct.
And set up into the stable accounts.
Set up, yeah, right.
That they can be used for housing, for transportation,
Mhm.
assisted technology, employment training, people with disabilities,
Yeah.
and their children, or their basically their
Right.
dependents,
Right.
whoever they may be, or even their grandchildren in many regards.
I think it sounds like a nice
Yeah.
program.
Scott, you see any problem with doing this? I mean, Holly's not here, but I think it would be a, yeah.
Okay, all right.
It'd probably be no different than a United Way deduction or a deduction for anything else, so I think it would be a nice thing to offer.
I do too.
Employees.
Okay, good. We'll communicate back to them and they can start
Mhm.
looking at the program, get it included. Okay,
I-
thank you. Yeah, I'll do that.
I did have one question for Amy and Scott. Have we talked to the Board of Elections on anything they need with the last minute things they need?
Yeah, I was at the last
Oh,
Board of
okay.
Elections meeting, and they received a $124,000 grant, if you will, for
For, like,
that use.
overtime?
And then also there is was it $9 million that the
Oh, the promise,
legislature?
right, yes. It still
passed.
has to develop the rules, and Secretary of
Right,
State has to.
but there's
determine,
more funding coming that may be a little more restrictive in how they access it, but there is funding
Because,
coming from the state.
I can't imagine they're not gonna have some serious overtime in the next week or so, cause I think ballots need to be created like
Right.
almost immediately.
And that grant's on the Budget Commission Friday, and you'll see that on resolutions.
Okay. All right.
But this, we're monitoring to see what the Ohio Supreme Court does regarding the district lines, in which case it may
Yeah.
make all that moot.
Right.
I guess for us is to get the money, hold on to it, hopefully they'll make it, loosen up the categories we can spend it on.
Right.
For
Well,
appropriate public purposes, but there are some expenses at at the Board of Elections. We
Yeah.
would dearly love to be able to use that same money and apply it for like poll books.
right. Yeah, I don't
I mean,
know
if they have
that,
the
I don't
money-
know that it will go that far, but,
Well, we can always.
it would be
Yeah,
nice.
I do think, I do think the intent of the bill was that they were gonna have such
Yeah, right.
yes.
difficult
yes,
time
yeah.
strain.
Yeah, and Representative Ray said that she was going to, and apparently others, put something in the capital budget for
The poll
election
books.
equipment, so e-poll books, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
So it probably wouldn't be 100%, but I think the number is somewhere in the $300,000 to $350,000 range to replace our e-poll books in
Mhm.
Medina County.
Right.
And even if they matched it 80-20, which is what they've done in the past, it would be helpful.
Yes.
Agreed, All right, anything else for the good of the order? If not, entertain a motion.
I will
adjourn?
make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and second. Roll call, please.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes.
Hambley?
Yes, everybody have a good day, enjoy the sun and the good weather while we got it.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Yep.